I see. In the war, did you serve in the European or Pacific theaters? Both. Action in both? Plenty. Decorations? Plenty. Anybody who doesn't cut and run gets those. They're like K rations. Talking about K, how about Korea? I was there. Action? Plenty. Got there just in time for the big bug out from the Yalu. What's bug out? It sounds faintly lecherous to me. It means retreat. Well, what do you know? I said. Any Korean decorations? Plenty. Ah, I had a genuine military hero on my hands. One who was not only modest, but traditionally reticent as hell, too. And wouldn't he look nice in court, all decked out in his ribbons and decorations? I could already see Old Glory fluttering over the jury. What, I went on, what brought you way up in this forlorn neck of the woods? Well, after the Korean ceasefire, I was sent back to the States. Since then, I've been shifted around to various outfits as a special instructor. That's why Laura and I got a trailer. Who's Laura? My wife. And you were a special instructor in what? Anti-aircraft artillery. It seems your big Lake Superior makes a nice safe place to lob shells into. Tell me about your wife, I said. Again, the merest flutter of the eyes. What do you want to know? Oh, things like matrimonial statistics, including present status. I'm her second husband. She divorced the other one. Old Glory sagged a little. Did you know your predecessor? Very well. We once served in the same outfit. Old Glory sagged still farther. You mean you and he were buddies? There was the slightest pause. You might call it that. I had received a musket ball through the heart, and I saw I'd better brush up on the idiom of the modern fighting man. But to hell with it. I see, I said. Now, suppose you tell me where your ex-buddy was when you took up with his wife. The ex-DA was beginning to enjoy turning the screws on Mr. Cool, the anti-aircraft expert who scoffed at decorations. Germany, Army of Occupation. And where were you two? Georgia. Old Glory hung limp and dead on its staff. It made a neat arrangement, didn't it? I said. He did not answer. Did either of you have any children from your previous marriages? No. Or from this one? No. Any prospects? Mr. Cool fell silent. Any prospects? I repeated. Savagely. Not unless that dirty bastard Quill knocked her up. Here was a sudden revealing step upon dangerous ground, very dangerous ground. In a touchy case like this, there were legal landmines lying all over, and I wasn't quite ready to chance exploding them, so I abruptly veered away. What kind of a weapon did you use to dispatch Quill? The dark eyes gleamed. A German Luger, war souvenir, World War II. Let's see, that's a semi-automatic pistol, fairly equivalent to our .38. Having seen one once, I felt something like Hanson Baldwin, and I tried to keep the note of pride out of my voice. His answer practically made us old battle-scarred buddies. Yes, he replied. The cops have it now, of course? Yes, I gave it to the state police. Tell me where you got this pistol, where and how. It may possibly be important. Is it necessary? Look, friend, I said, suppose you tend to your military knitting, and I'll tend to the Department of Legal BS. Lieutenant Mannion flushed and sat up straight. The dark eyes clouded and gazed even farther away. Well, he began slowly, we were advancing in Germany, the spring before the end of the European War. It was dusk, and I was leading some men out on night patrol, about 12 of us. The sector had been badly shelled, and there was very little cover. Intelligence had told us the Germans were in full retreat, that the way was clear. Go on, I said, listening carefully, mentally appraising the possible effect of all this on a civilian jury. Field intelligence was wrong, he went on. Suddenly there was a burst of small arms fire. 3 of my men fell. 2 of them killed outright, I learned later. The 3rd died back at base. Go on, I said. All of us hit the ground and stayed there. As it grew darker, I took a quick look and saw a fleeting flash of gray, a gray sleeve, disappearing behind a stub of ruined chimney. What did you do? I said. We could have rushed the place, but I didn't know then how many there were. One thing was clear. If this wasn't a lone sniper, it was probably either them or us. I couldn't communicate with my men, so I crawled on my belly, making a wide circle, and finally got behind the chimney. A wide-end crawl, I observed. It was a lone sniper. I crawled closer to get within safe pistol range, and then I let him have it. In the back, from behind, I said, dismayed, thinking of Old Glory, the playing fields of Eton, the Boy Scout oath. He laughed briefly, his first sign of mirth. It was either him or me. He'd just shot 3 of my men. I didn't stop to pose him. Go on, I said. When I got up to him, I found he was an old lieutenant, gray, tattered, and already wounded. He must have been around 60. His left arm was in a dirty sling. He had a patch over one eye. The other eye glared at me like a wolf in a trap. In fact, he looked like a battered old timber wolf. He was still clutching the Luger pistol. He tried to raise it. He'd rigged up a rifle stock to it. He swore at me in German. What happened? I was going to let him have some more, and then he died. Here was a good soldier, so I took his pistol as a souvenir. Frederick Mannion paused and fiddled a bit with the Ming holder. That's how I got the Luger. Old Glory was rippling and standing out straight, but I'd seen many duck hunters generate more excitement telling about their misses. Excuse me, I said, rising. I'll be back shortly. Yes, Mr. Cool murmured, solemn as an owl, turning his attention to the Ming holder. Outside, I reflected that whatever else they were or weren't, Lieutenant Mannion and the old German sniper shared one thing. They were both good soldiers, dedicated disciples of the philosophy of ours is not to reason why. Yes, somehow, some way, at the trial I'd have to try to get that lovely Luger story in. But how could I do it? And what was I thinking? Polly Beegler was the man, remember, who wasn't going to take this case. Were aging ex-DAs as helpless as old fire horses? Did they begin to snort and prance and paw at their mangers whenever they heard the clang of the fire bell? I used Sulo's phone to call my office. Sleeping Sulo didn't even stir in his chair. Maida, I said, it's kind of looking like we might be in this damned Mannion murder case. Good, good, Maida said. But what's he going to pay you with? Purple Hearts? Didn't you know professional soldiers never have a dime? Remember, I was once married to one. I gulped and swallowed like a kid caught raiding a cookie jar. I don't know yet. We haven't discussed it. All I'm after now are the facts, ma'am. You're so coldly commercial, Maida. Well, you'd better discuss your fee. You'd better get commercial. I've just been going over your checkbook. Shh, not over the phone, Maida. I'm supposed to be the successful, well-heeled defense lawyer. I'm loaded, see, and I only take cases out of my sheer love for an oppressed humanity. My heart who toils solely for blind justice and the battered Bill of Rights. also damned near broke. Tell me, what did you do with the fee in the King estate? Help salt a uranium mine? I just bought a few necessaries. What necessaries? Maida persisted. Only a little booze and a Burberry jacket. My old one's in tatters. And a nice little surprise for your birthday. Look, I called to tell you I won't be back this afternoon, and you lecture me how broke we are. Better cancel any appointments. I'll finish up on the mail tomorrow. There are no appointments, Maida said. People are beginning to think you've migrated to the woods, and I'm beginning to think maybe they're right. Parnell McCarthy was in. There's an airmail, special from your mother, and that's all. What did Parm want? He had his usual Monday morning sickness. Probably wanted money. What else does he ever want? Will you be back this afternoon? No, I'll work here and then I'm going fishing tonight. Fishing, 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 Maida said. You just had a long weekend of it. Look, boss, are you mad at the trout? I'm afraid it's a blood feud, Maida. For years I caught them and now they've caught me. I'm getting to hate 'em worse than women. And there'll be a damn little time for fishing once I dive into this case, if I take it. If you've nothing better to do but brood over my checkbook, you can leave early. Anything to do, Maida snorted. I'm on the latest Mickey Spillane. Good girl. Always improving the mind, eh, Maida? But I thought you'd waded through the Spillane abattoirs long ago. I reread him every year, faithfully, like some people take a retreat. I find him so consoling. Not retreat, Maida, I said. The magic word is bug out. What did you say? Bug out, I said softly. And goodbye. That's the way it is between Maida and me. I hung up the phone and stole a look at Sulo, who'd begun gently to snore. I speculated that someday some good Samaritan would tiptoe in and take down the big brass key and empty the jail, stink and all. I also wondered what Lieutenant Mannion might be tempted to do if he knew that the only person who stood between him and freedom was fast asleep. I turned to rejoin him and found him standing in the sheriff's open office door. Don't worry, he said, smiling slightly. I'm not going to bolt. It wouldn't help, and anyway it might be fun to wait and see what happens. Yeah, Sulo muttered, rubbing his eyes. You through already, Polly?